The space station floated quietly in the darkness above planet Kepler 442b. Most of the crew was sleeping in their small rooms. The only sounds were the soft hum of machines and the gentle whoosh of air moving through the vents. Everything was peaceful until the alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. The computer voice spoke in a calm tone that did not match the panic spreading through the halls. Life support failure in Section C. All personnel report to emergency stations. Dr. Sarah Chen woke up fast when her communicator buzzed loudly on her nightstand. She was the head of the Alien Studies Department. Her heart raced as she read the message on the small screen. The containment area was losing power. The temperature controls were failing. Worst of all, the special barriers that kept her research subjects safe were shutting down. She ran through the corridors in her pajamas and lab coat. Her bare feet slapped against the cold metal floor. Other scientists and crew members rushed past her, all heading toward the emergency. When she reached Section C, she found chaos. The 6 Zephyrian cubs were gone. These were not ordinary animals. The cubs came from a planet far away, where the gravity was different and the air was thinner. Each cub was about the size of a house, but they looked nothing like Earth animals. Their fur was made of tiny crystals that caught the light and changed colors. When they were happy, the fur glowed soft blue. When they were scared, it turned bright red. When they were curious, it shifted to warm yellow. But now all 6 cubs were terrified. Their crystalline fur blazed like fire as they ran through the station. They had a special power that made them even harder to catch. When they got very scared, they could walk through walls like ghosts. The metal barriers meant nothing to them when they were this frightened. Where did they go? Dr. Chen asked the security chief. His name was Commander Brooks, and he was a big man who usually stayed calm during problems. But now sweat dripped down his face. Everywhere, he said, pointing at his tablet screen. The motion sensors show them in the dining hall, the engine room, and the storage areas. They keep moving through the walls. My teams cannot keep up. Dr. Chen watched the security cameras on the main screen. She could see her precious research subjects running wild through the station. One cub had somehow gotten into the kitchen and was hiding under a table. Another was in the medical bay, knocking over bottles and equipment. 2 more were in the air vents, and their scared, chittering sounds echoed through the whole station, like crying ghosts. The cubs made sounds that no human had ever heard before they came to the station. When they were happy, they purred like cats, but with a musical quality. When they played, they chirped like birds. But when they were scared, they made a high-pitched chittering that hurt to hear. It sounded like glass breaking mixed with a baby, crying. "We need to contain them before they hurt themselves," Dr. Chen said, "or before they damage something important." Commander Brooks nodded and spoke into his radio. "All security teams, use the stun nets. Set them to the lowest power. We do not want to hurt the creatures." But the security teams were having no luck. Every time they got close to a cub, it would phase through the nearest wall and disappear. The men and women with their special equipment and training could not catch 6 scared baby animals. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Patel was having his own problems. 2 cubs had appeared in his workspace and were running around the important machines. "Get them out of here," he shouted into his communicator. They could damage the power core if they touched the wrong thing. One cub, its fur glowing angry red, jumped onto a control panel. Its small paws hit several buttons as it scrambled for a place to hide. Warning lights began flashing in that section too. "Power fluctuation in engine room 2, the computer announced. "Running emergency diagnostics." Dr. Chen felt sick to her stomach. These cubs were like her children. She had studied them for months, learning their habits and trying to understand their needs. They came from a world that was dying, and only a few hundred of their kind still lived. These 6 babies were part of a program to save their species. If something happened to them, it would be a disaster for science and for the Zephyrian race. The cubs had names, though the crew often just called them by numbers. There was Shimmer, who liked to play with shiny objects. Crystal always stayed close to her brother Prism. Echo would copy the sounds she heard from the humans. Spark was the brave one who explored everything. And the youngest 2, Glow and Flash, usually slept cuddled together. Now all 6 were scattered through the station, crying in fear and confusion. "Dr. Chen," came a voice over the intercom. "This is the communications officer. We are getting distress calls from every section of the station. The cubs are everywhere." She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. As a scientist, she was supposed to have answers. She had studied these creatures for so long. She knew they were intelligent, maybe as smart as human children. She knew they could feel emotions just like people, but knowing these things did not help her catch them now. "What if we shut down all the lights?" suggested one of her assistants. "Make the station completely dark. Maybe they will calm down." "No," Dr. Chen said quickly. "Darkness will make them more scared. They need light to see properly. Their eyes are different from ours." Commander Brooks tried a different approach. "What if we flood the air system with a mild sleeping gas? Nothing harmful, just something to make them drowsy." Dr. Chen shook her head again. "Their breathing system is too different. What is safe for humans might kill them. We cannot take that risk." The chittering sounds got louder. Through the speakers, everyone on the station could hear the cubs crying. It was a heartbreaking sound that made some of the crew members want to cry too. "There has to be something we can do," Dr. Chen whispered, watching the security cameras show her research subjects running in panic through the corridors. In the medical bay, Dr. Williams was trying to protect his equipment from one of the cubs. The small creature with blazing red fur was jumping from table to table, knocking over bottles and scattering papers. "Someone please get this thing out of here before it breaks something important," he called. But even as he complained, Dr. Williams noticed something. When he spoke in a loud, angry voice, the cub's fur got redder and it moved faster. When he spoke softly, it slowed down a little. The creature was responding to his emotions. Time was running out. The cubs were getting more tired and more scared. Their fur was now so bright red it hurt to look at them directly. They could not keep running forever. And Dr. Chen worried about what would happen when they collapsed from exhaustion. The station's night shift workers watched the chaos unfold on their screens and radios. Most of them stayed out of the way, letting the security teams and scientists handle the emergency. But in a quiet storage room on level 5, someone else was getting ready to start his shift. Marcus Rodriguez was putting on his work uniform and checking his cleaning supplies. He had no idea that his peaceful night was about to become anything but ordinary. The sounds of the scared cubs echoed through the walls around him, but Marcus just thought it was another technical problem. He had worked on space stations long, enough to know that machines broke down all the time. He picked up his mop and bucket and headed out to begin his rounds, completely unaware that he was about to become the most important person on the station. Marcus Rodriguez stepped out of the storage closet and immediately knew something was wrong. The hallway lights were flashing red, and loud alarm sounds filled the air. He had worked the night shift on the station for 2 years, and he had never seen anything like this. His first thought was to find someone and ask what was happening. But before he could take more than a few steps, he heard a sound that made him stop. It was not the alarm or the computer voice. It was something else, something that sounded like a scared animal. Marcus was 43 years old with gray hair starting to show at his temples. His hands were rough from years of cleaning work, but his eyes were kind. Before he became a janitor, he had been an elementary school teacher for 15 years. He loved working with children, but the pay was too low to support his family. When his wife got sick, he needed a job that paid better. The space station job was boring, but it gave him enough money to send home to Earth. The sound came again. It was a high-pitched chittering that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Marcus tilted his head and listened carefully. He had heard scared children make sounds like this before, back when he was teaching. When kids got really frightened, they sometimes made noises that were not quite words and not quite crying. "Hello?" Marcus called out softly. "Is someone there?" The chittering stopped for a moment, then started again, but quieter this time. Marcus put down his mop and bucket. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his small radio. "This is Marcus in Section 5. What is going on up there?" The radio crackled with voices talking over each other. "Security to Level 3. Containment failure. Subjects are loose. All personnel stay clear." Marcus understood enough to know that some kind of animals had escaped. He also understood that everyone was trying to catch them. But the sound he was hearing did not sound like dangerous animals. It sounded like scared babies. He followed the chittering sound down the hallway. The emergency lights cast strange shadows on the walls. Marcus walked slowly and quietly, the way he used to walk when he was looking for a lost child in his classroom. Behind a large waste disposal unit, he found what was making the noise. Marcus had never seen anything like it before. The creature was about the size of his old cat, Whiskers, who had lived with his family for 12 years. But this was not a cat. Its fur looked like it was made of tiny pieces of colored glass. Right now, the glass fur was glowing bright red, which Marcus somehow knew meant the creature was afraid. "Hey there, little one," Marcus said in the same soft voice he used to use with his students. "What are you doing way down here?" The creature stopped chittering and looked at him with large, dark eyes. Its fur flickered between red and orange, as if it could not decide how scared it should be. Marcus sat down on the floor. He had learned long ago that sitting down made him less scary to small, frightened beings. When he was teaching, scared, children would sometimes talk to him if he got down to their level. "You are lost, are not you?" Marcus said. "And everyone is running around making loud noises, which probably makes you even more scared." The creature's fur shifted to yellow, then back to orange. It took a tiny step toward him. Marcus reached into his lunch bag and pulled out half of a sandwich. It was just peanut butter and jelly, nothing special. But he tore off a small piece and held it out. "I do not know if you eat food like this," he said. "But when I was scared as a kid, my grandmother always gave me something to eat. She said food makes everything a little better." The creature sniffed the air. Its crystalline fur was now more yellow than red. It came closer, moving very carefully. Marcus did not try to grab it. He had made that mistake with scared children before. The more you chased them, the more they ran away. Instead, he just sat still and kept talking in his calm, quiet voice. "My name is Marcus," he said. "I clean this station every night. It is not the most exciting job, but I like the quiet time. I can think about my family back on Earth. I have 3 kids, you know, 2 girls and a boy." The creature was now close, enough to touch the sandwich piece with its nose. Its fur was turning more yellow with hints of blue mixed in. "My youngest daughter, she is 8 years old," Marcus continued. "When she gets scared at night, she comes to my room. I tell her stories until she falls asleep. Would you like to hear a story?" The creature finally took the sandwich piece. It chewed very carefully as if it was not sure what to think about peanut butter and jelly. Marcus smiled. "I will tell you about the time my daughter found a hurt bird in our yard. She was so worried about it. She made a little nest out of old towels and tried to feed it breadcrumbs." As Marcus told his story, the creature's fur kept changing. The red was almost gone now. The yellow was getting brighter, and there were more blue streaks appearing. Marcus did not know what the colors meant, but the animal seemed calmer. Through his radio, he could hear the security team still running around the station. Their voices sounded frustrated and tired. "Subject 3 has phased through the wall again," someone reported. "We lost it in the ventilation system. Subject 5 is in the dining hall, but every time we get close, it disappears," came another voice. Marcus looked at the small creature in front of him. Its fur was now mostly blue and yellow with just tiny hints of red. "I think you are subject something," Marcus said to it, "and I think you are just scared and want to go home." The creature made a new sound. Instead of the frightened chittering, it made a soft purring noise. Its fur turned a beautiful shade of blue. Marcus had an idea. "Are there more of you? More friends who are scared and hiding?" The creature's fur flickered, and it looked down the hallway in the direction Marcus had come from. "I bet there are," Marcus said, "and I bet they are just as scared as you were." He stood up slowly, being careful not to make sudden movements. The creature backed away a little, but its fur stayed mostly blue. "I think I can help you find your friends," Marcus said, "but you have to trust me, okay? I will not hurt you. I do not have nets or stun guns or any of those things the security people have. I just have my lunch and my cleaning supplies." The creature tilted its head as if it was thinking about what Marcus had said. Marcus picked up his radio again. "This is Marcus in Section 5. I found one of the escaped subjects." Immediately, voices started talking at once. "Do not approach it. Stay back until security arrives. It could be dangerous." Marcus turned down the volume on his radio, looked at the small creature, which was now sitting and watching him with curious eyes. "They mean well," he told it, "but I do not think you are dangerous. I think you are just a scared little one who wants to be safe." The creature made the purring sound again. Marcus made a decision that would change everything. Instead of waiting for the security team, instead of following the rules and staying away from the escaped subject, he decided to trust his teacher instincts. "Come on, little friend," he said. "Let us go find the others. I think they need someone who is not afraid of them, someone who knows that sometimes scared creatures just need someone to be kind to them." The creature stood up and took a step toward Marcus. Its fur was now a soft, glowing blue with streaks of gold. For the first time since the emergency began, one of the Zephyrian cubs was not afraid. Marcus started walking slowly down the hallway. Behind him, the small creature followed, its crystalline fur casting gentle blue light on the walls. Neither of them knew it yet, but they were about to show everyone on the station that sometimes the best solutions come from the most unexpected places. The radio in Marcus's pocket continued to crackle with reports from the security teams, but he was not listening anymore. He was listening to the soft, chittering sounds coming from other parts of the station, sounds that told him there were more scared little ones who needed help. And Marcus Rodriguez, the quiet night janitor who used to be a teacher, was going to help them all. Marcus walked through the station corridors with his new friend following close behind. The small creature's blue fur cast a gentle glow that made the emergency lighting seem less harsh. Marcus had turned his radio volume down, but he could still hear the security teams running around in other parts of the station. "Let us find your family," Marcus whispered to the creature. "I bet they are scared and hiding somewhere." He stopped at every corner and listened carefully. His years as a teacher had taught him to hear things that adults usually missed. The soft sounds of children hiding, the quiet sniffles of someone trying not to cry, the little noises that meant someone small was nearby and needed help. In the dining hall, Marcus heard the sound of something moving under the tables. The security team had been here earlier, but they had given up when they could not find anything. Marcus got down on his hands and knees and looked under the long metal tables where the crew ate their meals. Two pairs of large, dark eyes looked back at him. Two more of the crystalline creatures were huddled together under the furthest table. Their fur was still bright red with fear. "Hello there," Marcus said softly. "I brought your friend to see you." The creature behind him made a gentle purring sound. The two under the table heard it, and their fur flickered from red to orange. Marcus sat down on the floor cross-legged, the way he used to sit when he read stories to his kindergarten class. "Are you hungry?" he asked. "I have more sandwiches." He pulled out another sandwich and broke it into small pieces. He put the pieces on the floor between himself and the table, then waited. The first creature, the one he had found by the waste disposal unit, walked over to the food and started eating. It made happy purring sounds as it ate. The two under the table watched carefully. "It is okay," Marcus told them. "I will not hurt you. I know you are scared, but you do not have to be scared of me." One of the creatures under the table was braver than the other. It crawled out slowly, its fur changing from red to yellow to blue as it got closer to Marcus. Soon it was eating sandwich pieces too. The third creature stayed under the table, but Marcus could see its eyes watching everything. "That is all right," Marcus said to the one still hiding. "You can stay there until you feel safe. I will wait." While he waited, Marcus started humming. It was a song his grandmother used to hum when she was cooking dinner. A simple, gentle tune that always made him feel calm and safe. The creature under the table stopped chittering. Its fur was still red, but not as bright as before. Marcus kept humming and slowly pulled out his flashlight. But instead of using it to look for the creature, he pointed it at the wall and made shadow shapes with his hands. A rabbit, a bird, a dog wagging its tail. The two creatures eating the sandwich stopped and watched the shadows. They made soft, curious sounds. Even the one under the table crawled forward a little to see better. "My kids love shadow puppets," Marcus said quietly. "When they could not sleep at night, I would make shadow animals on their bedroom walls." He made a shadow cat that seemed to chase a shadow mouse around the wall. The creatures watched with bright, interested eyes. Their fur was now mostly blue and yellow. After a few minutes, the third creature finally came out from under the table. Its fur was still orange with worry, but it was no longer the bright red of terror. "There you are," Marcus said with a smile. "I was wondering when you would join us." Now he had 3 of the 6 creatures with him. They sat in a small group on the dining hall floor, eating sandwich pieces and watching shadow puppets. But Marcus could hear chittering sounds from other parts of the station. There were still 3 more who needed help. His radio crackled. "Security Team Alpha, report to the engine room. Subject 2 has been spotted near the power core." Marcus stood up carefully. The 3 creatures looked up at him with worried eyes. "Do not worry," he told them. "We are going to find the others. But I need you to come with me, okay? I do not want to leave you here alone." To his surprise, the 3 creatures stood up too. The first one, the bravest one, walked up to Marcus and rubbed against his leg like a friendly cat. The other 2 stayed close together, but they followed when Marcus started walking. The engine room was on the other side of the station. As they walked, Marcus kept talking to the creatures in his soft, calm voice. He told them about his family, about his job, about the little things that made him happy. The creatures seemed to like the sound of his voice. Their fur stayed blue and yellow as they walked. When they reached the engine room, Marcus could hear the security team inside talking loudly. "It went through the wall again," someone said in frustration. "How are we supposed to catch something that can walk through solid metal?" "Maybe we should call Dr. Chen. She knows more about these things than we do." Dr. Chen has been trying to catch the others for 3 hours. She is having no more luck than we are. Marcus waited until the security team left. Then he opened the door to the engine room. The space was filled with large machines that hummed and beeped. Lights flashed on control panels and steam came out of pipes in the ceiling. It was not a good place for a scared animal to hide. "Hello?" Marcus called softly. "Is someone in here?" A chittering sound came from behind one of the big machines. It sounded different from the others, more frightened and more tired. Marcus walked slowly toward the sound, with his 3 new friends following behind him. Their blue fur helped light the way between the large machines. Behind the power core, Marcus found the 4th creature. This one was smaller than the others, and its red fur was so bright it was almost painful to look at. It was shaking with fear and exhaustion. "Oh, you poor little thing," Marcus said. "You are really scared, are not you?" The small creature tried to back away, but there was nowhere to go. It was trapped between the wall and the machine. Marcus sat down on the floor, even though it was dirty and covered with oil stains. "Look who I brought to see you," he said, pointing to the other 3 creatures. The 3 creatures with Marcus started making soft purring sounds. They called to their friend in musical tones that sounded almost like singing. The trapped creature stopped shaking. Its fur was still red, but it was listening to the others. "They have been worried about you," Marcus said. "We all have. Come on out, little one. No one is going to hurt you." Instead of trying to catch the creature, Marcus pulled out his lunch again. But this time, instead of just sandwich pieces, he had something different. A small apple that his wife had packed for him. He took out a pocket knife and carefully cut the apple into tiny pieces. The sweet smell filled the air. All 4 creatures perked up. Even the scared one behind the machine seemed interested. "I do not know if you like apples," Marcus said, "but it is worth a try." He put some apple pieces on the floor and waited. The 3 creatures with him started eating the apple, making happy sounds. Slowly, very slowly, the 4th creature crept out from behind the machine. Its fur was changing from red to orange to yellow as the smell of the apple reached it. "That is it," Marcus encouraged. "Come and join your friends." Soon all 4 creatures were sitting together, eating apple pieces and purring contentedly. Their fur glowed with soft blues and golds that mixed together like a gentle rainbow. But Marcus could still hear chittering from somewhere else in the station. There were 2 more creatures who needed help. "Okay, my friends," he said to the group. "We need to find the last 2. Are you ready to help me?" The creatures looked up at him with trusting eyes. The first one, the bravest one, rubbed against his leg again. The others made soft, agreeing sounds. Marcus started walking toward the sounds of the remaining creatures, and his group of 4 followed behind him. They moved through the station like a small parade of soft lights in the darkness. Other crew members they passed stopped and stared in amazement. Here was the night janitor, walking calmly through the station with 4 of the escaped subjects following him like loyal pets. The creatures were no longer running or hiding or phasing through walls. They were calm and happy and obviously trusting the human who had treated them with kindness instead of fear. "How did he do that?" whispered one of the scientists. "I do not know," replied another. "But look at them. They are not afraid anymore." Marcus did not pay attention to the stares and whispers. He was focused on finding the last 2 creatures. He could hear them somewhere ahead, and they sounded very scared and very tired. It was time to complete his unusual rescue mission. Marcus and his group of 4 crystalline creatures walked through the station toward the sounds of the last 2 escapees. The chittering was coming from the upper levels, near the crew quarters. Marcus could tell that these final 2 were the most frightened of all. Their cries sounded weak and desperate. As they climbed the stairs to level 7, Marcus noticed that his 4 friends were getting tired too. They had been running around the station for hours before he found them. Now that they felt safe, their exhaustion was showing. "We will find the others soon," Marcus promised them. "And then we will all get some rest." On level 7, Marcus followed the sound to the recreation area. This was where crew members came to relax during their off time. There were comfortable chairs, games, books, and a large viewing window that showed the stars outside. The chittering was coming from inside the ventilation shaft that ran along the ceiling. Marcus looked up at the metal grate that covered the air vent. "Hello up there," he called softly. "Are you stuck?" The chittering stopped for a moment, then started again, even more frightened than before. "I think they climbed up there to hide," Marcus said to his 4 companions. "But now they cannot get down." He looked around the room for something to stand on. There was a maintenance ladder in the corner, but Marcus had a better idea. He went to the supply closet and got clean towels, blankets, and pillows from the HFY storage shelves. "I think it is time to make a safe place for all of you," he said to the creatures watching him. "A place where you can rest without being afraid." Marcus spread the towels and blankets on the floor under the air vent. He made a soft, comfortable nest that was big enough for 6 creatures to sleep together. He arranged the pillows around the edges to make walls, creating a cozy space that felt protected. The 4 creatures with him immediately understood what he was doing. They climbed into the nest and curled up together, purring with satisfaction. Their crystalline fur glowed with warm, sleepy colors. But the chittering from the air vent continued. Marcus stood on a chair and spoke toward the ceiling. "Your friends are down here," he said. "They are safe and warm and waiting for you. But I know you are scared to come down." He thought about what might help. When he was teaching, he had dealt with children who were too scared to come out of hiding places. Sometimes they hid under desks or in closets when they were upset. Marcus began to hum again, the same gentle tune his grandmother had hummed, but this time he added a rhythm to it. He tapped his fingers softly against the wall, making a steady beat like a slow heartbeat. The chittering from the vent got quieter. Marcus remembered something else from his teaching days. Children responded to stories, especially stories about other children who had been scared but then felt better. "Let me tell you about a little girl named Emma," Marcus said, speaking toward the ceiling. "Emma was my student 3 years ago. On her first day of school, she was so scared that she hid under her desk and would not come out." He kept tapping the gentle rhythm as he talked. Emma was afraid because everything was new and different. She did not know the other children. She did not know me. She just wanted to go home to her mother. The 4 creatures in the nest were listening too. Their fur glowed with soft, peaceful colors. So I sat down on the floor next to Emma's desk, Marcus continued, and I told her that it was okay to be scared. Everyone gets scared sometimes. Even grown-ups get scared. A small sound came from the air vent, not chittering, but something softer. I told Emma that she did not have to come out until she was ready, but I also told her that there were other children in the classroom who wanted to be her friend, and that I would make sure she stayed safe. Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out the last of his food. It was a small package of crackers that his wife always packed for him. And you know what Emma did? Marcus asked, opening the crackers. She came out from under the desk and ate lunch with me, and then she played with the other children, and by the end of the day she was smiling and happy. He put some cracker pieces on the floor near the nest. Just like Emma, you do not have to be scared anymore. Your friends are here. I am here. And I promise I will keep you all safe. There was a scratching sound from inside the air vent. Then a small thud. Marcus looked up and saw two tiny faces peering down through the metal grate. These creatures were smaller than the others, and their fur was not just red with fear. It was also dim, as if they were too tired to glow properly. There you are, Marcus said with a smile. Are you ready to come down and join your friends? One of the creatures in the vent made a weak chittering sound. It tried to climb down the wall, but it was too tired and scared to hold on properly. It started to fall. Marcus quickly caught it in his arms. The small creature was shaking with exhaustion and fear. Its crystalline fur barely glowed at all. Shh, little one, Marcus whispered, holding it gently against his chest. You are safe now. I have got you. The creature could feel Marcus's heartbeat. The steady rhythm seemed to calm it down. Its fur began to glow a little brighter. The last creature was still in the air vent, too scared to come down. Marcus sat down in the nest with the other creatures, still holding the one he had caught. Look, he said to the one in the vent. Your friend is safe. See how calm everyone is? The four creatures in the nest made soft, welcoming sounds. They called to their friend in their musical language. Marcus began to hum again, rocking gently back and forth. The creature in his arms started to purr. Finally, the last creature climbed down from the air vent. It was the smallest of all, and it could barely walk. It stumbled toward the nest and collapsed next to the others. Now Marcus had all 6 creatures, together. They were exhausted, frightened, and far from home, but they were safe. There we go, Marcus said softly. Everyone is here now. He looked around the recreation room and realized it was perfect for what these creatures needed. It was quiet, comfortable, and away from the busy parts of the station. The big viewing window showed the peaceful stars outside. Marcus got up carefully and dimmed the room lights until they were very soft. The creature's glowing fur provided most of the light now, creating a gentle rainbow in the darkness. This will be your bedroom for tonight, Marcus told them. Tomorrow Dr. Chen will fix your regular home, but tonight you can sleep here with me watching over you. He sat down against the wall next to the nest. The creatures snuggled together in a pile of crystalline fur and soft purrs. Some of them were already falling asleep. Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. He had pictures of his family on it. His wife, his 3 children, and even old Whiskers the cat. Would you like to see pictures of my family? He asked the creatures that were still awake. He showed them the photos, telling them about each person. The creatures seemed fascinated by the images, making soft, curious sounds. This is my youngest daughter, Rosa, Marcus said, showing them a picture of a little girl with pigtails. She loves animals, just like I think you do. Maybe someday you will get to meet her. One by one, the creatures fell asleep. Their fur gradually changed from the tired blues and yellows to the deep, peaceful purples and golds of sleep. Marcus stayed awake, watching over them. He thought about his own children sleeping safely in their beds back on Earth. These alien cubs were not his children, but tonight they needed someone to watch over them just the same. Outside the viewing window, the stars shone peacefully in the darkness. Inside the makeshift nursery, 6 small creatures from another world slept soundly, protected by a human janitor who understood that sometimes the most important job was simply being kind. Marcus leaned back against the wall and closed his eyes. Tomorrow would bring questions and explanations and probably some trouble for not following the emergency procedures. But tonight, he had done what felt right. He had helped 6 scared children find their way to safety. As he drifted off to sleep, Marcus could hear the soft, contented purring of the creatures and see the gentle glow of their crystalline fur, painting rainbow patterns on the walls. It was the most beautiful nightlight he had ever seen. Marcus woke up slowly as the station's artificial dawn cycle began. The lights in the recreation room gradually grew brighter, imitating the sunrise that the crew would have seen on Earth. For a moment, Marcus forgot where he was. Then he felt something warm and soft pressed against his side. 6 crystalline creatures were sleeping in a pile around him. Their fur glowed with the peaceful golden colors of deep sleep. They were breathing slowly and steadily, making tiny purring sounds with each breath. Marcus smiled and carefully reached for his radio, trying not to wake the sleeping cubs. "This is Marcus Rodriguez," he whispered into the device. "I have all 6 subjects safe in the recreation room on level 7. They are sleeping peacefully." The radio immediately crackled with surprised voices. "All 6? Came Dr. Chen's voice, tired but amazed. "Marcus, how did you manage to find them all?" "I will explain later, Doctor," Marcus replied quietly. "But right now they need to sleep. They have been running around scared all night. Can you come up here quietly? I do not want to wake them yet." Within 10 minutes, Dr. Chen arrived with Commander Brooks and several other crew members. They moved very quietly, speaking in whispers. When Dr. Chen saw the scene in the recreation room, she stopped and stared. The 6 Zephyrian cubs were sleeping peacefully in a nest made of towels and blankets. Their crystalline fur created a soft, warm glow that lit up the whole area. Marcus sat in the middle of them like a protective parent. "I have never seen them this calm," Dr. Chen whispered in amazement. "Look at their bio readings." She held up a small device that could read the cubs' vital signs from a distance. "Their stress hormones are at the lowest levels we have ever recorded. Their heart rates are perfect. They are healthier right now than they have been since they arrived on the station." Commander Brooks shook his head in disbelief. "Marcus, how did you do this? My security teams could not get near them. They kept phasing through walls every time we tried to approach." Marcus looked down at the sleeping cubs. One of them was using his leg as a pillow. Another had wrapped its small arms around his arm like a child hugging a teddy bear. "I treated them like what they are," Marcus said simply. "Scared children who needed someone to be kind to them." Dr. Chen knelt down carefully at the edge of the nest. "What did you do exactly?" "I sat down on their level instead of standing over them," Marcus explained. "I talked to them in a calm voice instead of shouting orders. I gave them food instead of trying to catch them. I showed them that I was not going to hurt them." He pointed to the small pile of empty food containers nearby. "I shared my lunch with them. Sandwich pieces, apple slices, crackers. They were hungry and scared. When someone is hungry and scared, the first thing you do is feed them and make them feel safe." "But how did you know to do that?" asked one of the other scientists. "These are alien life forms. We have been studying them for months, trying to understand their behavior." Marcus gently stroked the fur of the cub sleeping against his side. The creature purred softly in its sleep. "I was an elementary school teacher for 15 years, he said. "I worked with scared children every day. When a child is frightened, it does not matter what planet they come from. They need the same things: safety, kindness, and someone who will not hurt them." Dr. Chen looked at her tablet, which showed detailed information about each cub. "Marcus, do you realize what you have discovered? These creatures respond to emotional cues in ways we never understood before. They can sense when someone means them harm and when someone wants to help them. That explains why they kept running from the security teams," Commander Brooks said. "The security officers were trying to catch them, so the cubs saw them as a threat. But Marcus approached them without any intention of capturing them," Dr. Chen continued. "He just wanted to help them feel better. They sensed that and trusted him." One of the cubs began to wake up. It lifted its small head and looked around with sleepy eyes. When it saw all the humans standing nearby, its fur started to shift toward yellow with worry. Marcus immediately noticed. "Hey there, little one," he said softly. "It is okay. These are friends. They are not going to hurt you." The cub looked at Marcus, then at the other humans, then back at Marcus. Slowly, its fur settled back to the peaceful golden color. "Remarkable," whispered Dr. Chen. "It trusts your judgment completely. If you say we are safe, it believes you." More of the cubs began to wake up. As each one opened its eyes, it looked to Marcus first. When they saw that he was calm and relaxed, they stayed calm too. "Marcus," Dr. Chen said, "I need to ask you a favor. We have been having trouble getting the cubs to eat properly since they arrived. They have been too stressed to have normal appetites. Would you be willing to help us with feeding time?" Marcus looked down at the 6 small creatures now sitting around him like students around their teacher. "Of course," he said, "but I have some suggestions about how to make them more comfortable." Over the next hour, Marcus explained his ideas to Dr. Chen and her team. Instead of keeping the cubs in separate cages, they should be allowed to stay together like a family. Instead of bright laboratory lights, they needed softer lighting that did not hurt their sensitive eyes. Instead of feeding them measured portions of scientific food on schedule, they should be offered variety and allowed to eat when they were hungry. Most importantly, Marcus said, they need to know that the people taking care of them are not afraid of them. Fear makes them afraid too. If you approach them with kindness instead of caution, they will respond much better. Dr. Chen nodded, taking notes on her tablet. "We will redesign their habitat immediately. Marcus, would you consider working with our team? We could really use your expertise." Marcus thought about the offer. "I appreciate that, doctor, but I like my night shift job. It gives me quiet time to think. But I would be happy to visit the cubs sometimes, maybe help them get used to new people." "That would be wonderful," Dr. Chen said. "I think they would like that very much." Commander Brooks looked at the cubs who were now playing gently with each other in the nest. "Marcus, I owe you an apology. When the emergency started, I never thought to ask the janitor for help. I assumed this was a job for security and scientists. Sometimes, the best solutions come from unexpected places," Marcus replied. "When my wife got sick, the doctors could not figure out what was wrong. It was the hospital janitor who suggested they check for a rare condition his sister had once had. He was right, and the doctors were able to cure her." One of the cubs crawled over to Marcus and rubbed against his hand. Its fur glowed with happy blue and gold colors. "They have bonded with you," Dr. Chen observed. "I think you will always be special to them." Marcus smiled as the small creature curled up in his lap. "They are special to me too. When I look at them, I think about my own children. How scared they would be if they were lost and far from home." "Is that why you helped them?" asked one of the younger scientists. Marcus nodded. "When you are a parent, you learn that all children are basically the same, no matter where they come from. They want to be safe, loved, and cared for. These little ones are no different." As the morning shift began, the station returned to normal operations. The emergency was over, and the Zephyrian cubs were safe. Dr. Chen's team began work on a new, improved habitat based on Marcus's suggestions, but Marcus still had his regular job to do. He carefully moved the sleeping cubs to their temporary new home, making sure they had their towel nest and some of his leftover crackers. "I will come visit you tomorrow night," he promised them. "Maybe I will bring some new stories to tell you." The cubs made soft, happy sounds as he left. That evening, Marcus called his family on Earth. He told his wife and children about his unusual night. "Dad, you are like a superhero," his youngest daughter said over the video call. "You saved the alien babies." Marcus laughed. "I just did what felt right, Rosa. Sometimes that is all anyone can do." From that day forward, the story of Marcus Rodriguez and the Zephyrian cubs became famous throughout the space station network. It was a reminder that sometimes the most important qualities are not technical skills or advanced equipment, but simple human kindness and understanding. And late at night, when the station was quiet and peaceful, Marcus would sometimes stop by to visit 6 small creatures who glowed like living jewels in the darkness. They would purr happily when they saw him, their crystalline fur painting rainbow patterns on the walls, remembering the human who had shown them that they were safe among the stars.